Hi, my name is Sylvia. I'm passionate about languages, English in particular. Welcome to my world of English. Hi, holiday makers. I decided to greet you today like this because I am myself in a very holiday mood and I am enjoying this fantastic weather outside. Of course, I'm sure there are some of you who will say that this weather is not fantastic because you're actually melting. Well, I know it is super hot, but this weather is definitely the holiday weather. It's the holiday kind of weather and I am enjoying it very much. I hope you share the same feeling. I am full of energy because of this and because of the holidays that have landed, because of the holidays that have come. And today we will be talking about holidays indeed. I decided to cover the subject because I am well aware of the problem actually that there is connected with holidays and holiday phrases. Why would I call it a problem? Well, because when you study a language, English in particular, this is the first thing that you do. This is the way you want to try your linguistic skills. You want to see how good you are. So this is what you do when you go abroad and you go on holiday, right? So you've been learning the language for a couple of months, let's say, or a couple of years. And then you go abroad and you want to see how good you are. And here there is a problem because very often people, after studying the language, they go abroad and they see they cannot communicate. And you know me, you have known me for a couple of episodes, and you know me that I am this true lover of simple solutions. And when I say simple solutions, I do not mean simplistic solutions. So I well believe in the simple structures in the language, the structures that will always guide you, the structures that will always help you out if you are in need, and the structures that are perfectly all right. So that's why today I'm going to cover the subject of holidays, and I'd like to present to you a few simple but yet very functional and yet very useful structures or expressions that you can use when you are on holiday, and these structures will make you feel very safe. I would like to cover a few areas. I'd like to talk to you today about types of accommodation because that's truly interesting. We all choose different types of accommodation when we go on holiday, and you need to know how to call different places, and you need to be sure that you're going to get to the right place, to the place that you actually want to get. I would like to talk about types of rooms. That's also an important thing, and there is going to be this short anecdote about types of rooms in English. And then I'd like to focus on a couple of places that we can find ourselves in on holidays. And these places are very popular because we are going to discuss the airport and how to behave at the airport and what to say at the airport, what to do and how to behave at a restaurant, at a hotel, at a pool, also a very important thing. People, for some reason, they disregard the swimming pools, but swimming pools and the beaches, right? Because when you go to a hotel, you can end up at a swimming pool, but there is a chance that there will be this beach that belongs to the hotel. So you can go to the swimming pool or you can go to the beach. And these places are very important because when you go on holiday and you go to this hot country, the chances are that you will spend most of your time at a swimming pool, and you need to know how to behave there. So this is what we're going to cover. I hope you will enjoy it because it is going to be funny, I believe, and it is also going to be lighthearted, but it is also going to be very useful. I truly believe you will benefit a lot from it, and please have this episode of the World of English podcast in your mind, in your ears, so to say, when you go on a holiday. And please use the phrases because they will help you out. As I told you, we're going to start with types of accommodation and types of places that you can visit when you go on holiday. So the first place I'd like to cover is a youth hostel. In the past, a youth hostel used to be a place that was typically reserved for students, school children, that wasn't very popular with people, with families, so to say. But I have to tell you, and I'm sure you know it, right, that youth hostels have greater standards right right now. And it is a great type of accommodation, really, because, well, first of all, it is cheap. I wouldn't call it very expensive. Very often it is just like this bed and breakfast type of accommodation because there is breakfast served. So you are sure to get a nice bed. You're sure to get this shower that you can use in the evening and in the morning. And you are sure to get a cup of tea or coffee and a toast to it. So these youth hostels are a very good solution, even for couples, even for a group of travelers, even for families. I myself used them a couple of times when I traveled across Europe, and I really enjoyed them. So they are not reserved only for students, as I said, and they are not only reserved for travelers that go to the mountains, because this is what we originally think about when we think about youth hostel, but they are super fine for any regular traveler. Another type of accommodation that is there, and I'm sure some of you use that type of accommodation and some of you really like it. I also like it myself because the experience is rather different. It's not what we have on a regular basis. And this type of accommodation is a campsite. Yes. So at a campsite, you would rather need to have a tent or a camper. But as I said, there are these great campsites across Europe. They are very well equipped with running water, with electricity, with some nice places to prepare meals. And of course, the experience that you have when you are at a campsite. So the experience of nature, the experience of these short summer nights, hot summer nights, the sky is full of stars. It's rather unusual. It's rather amazing. So I'm sure there are a lot of enthusiasts of going on holiday and using that kind of accommodation. The third type of accommodation that I would like to cover right now is a guest house. Also a very popular type of accommodation used very often. I myself used it a couple of times. And those of you who don't know what a guest house is, I would explain it to you. I would tell you that a guest house is this kind of building where you can have a couple of rooms and you can rent these rooms. But because it is called a guest house, it means that the owners of the house very often live in the same building, right? Of course, they live apart from the area where the holiday makers come. But they are there. So it is not a hotel, but it is this house with rooms to let. And the owners that are there, and they will help you out if you have any questions. Then another type of accommodation that I myself particularly like is the self-catering villa. Please pay attention to the way it is pronounced, like the word catering, right? In Polish, we pronounce it in a different way. And very often I hear this mispronunciation of the word. So it's catering, right? So it's the self-catering villa. Very, very popular in Italy. So in southern countries, in Italy, in Spain, in Croatia, wonderful places. And of course, you know how it works. So if there is a self-catering villa, you just rent the whole house, the whole place. There are usually a couple of rooms. There is this kitchen unit. So you can take your whole family, you can take your family and friends, and you can cook together. Usually there is a terrace. So it's a wonderful, really wonderful experience because you are together. You cook, you enjoy your company, a really fine place. So apart from a hotel, right, let me repeat, there are a couple of other types of accommodation, and the ones that we have covered is a youth hostel, a campsite, a guest house, and a self-catering villa. I have mentioned a hotel on purpose. Of course, I'm not going to discuss this accommodation because it is obvious. But what I'm going to discuss is the kind of rooms that you can find in a hotel. Of course, you can also find them in a youth hostel, but they are usually associated with a hotel. And there are many types of rooms, but most of us would rather use a single room, a double room, or a twin room. A single room, it's an easy thing to know, right? Easy thing to remember. When we travel and we are alone, like a one person, we choose single rooms. I wouldn't say they are very popular among holidaymakers, I think, because usually when people travel, they travel in company. but they are very popular when it comes to traveling on business, right? So when people travel on business, when they go on business trips, they would rather rent single rooms just for one person. But there is a problem, and now I'm going to tell you a real anecdote to something that happened, because there is a problem when it comes to calling this a double room and a twin room. Of course, as the very name suggests, like a double or a twin room, we can understand that there is more than one bed. And very often when there are people traveling in a group, or when they travel like in groups, but they would like to just stay in a room in two people, there is a problem, because sometimes people have this connection and they can stay like in one bed, and sometimes there are people who have no connection and they don't want to stay in one bed. And please remember, if there is to be one bed for two people, it is called the double room. But if there is to be a room with two beds for two independent people, it has to be a twin room. Very often in many places, in many hotels I have seen, they mix the names. So people book double rooms thinking that there will be two beds, and they end up having to sleep in one big bed. And this is actually what happened to a friend of mine who was traveling on business. It was actually a business trip. He was traveling with his colleague from work, and they ended up in a double room with one big bed, and they had to sleep in one bed, although they had no intention to do it. And it all happened because of this misunderstanding of the name. So it all happened because of the expression in English. So please remember, a double room, there is one bed for two people, and a twin room, there are two beds for two people. Now, as I told you, I'd like to cover the areas, different areas that are there that are connected with traveling on holiday. And I would like to start with the airport. Many of us fly. It's just a natural way to travel, just a regular means of transport. It wasn't like that in the past, yeah? So traveling by plane in the past was a bit of a sensation, and it was a thing. But right now, it is not a sensation. It is a natural thing to do. That's why people do it very often, and that's why they know the procedures. But still, they do not feel very safe when they are at the airport, and when they have to discuss some things, and when they have to ask different questions. So definitely the phrase to remember, and the phrase that is there every single time, it is a check-in. And this thing applies to the procedures that you cover when you want to be admitted at a plane, because before you board a plane, and that's another phrase, right? So you board a plane, which means that you are allowed to enter the plane. Before you board a plane, you have to leave your contact data, your ID number. They have to know where you are flying. They have to leave your seat number. And this procedure is called a check-in. Right now, with the low-cost flights, with the cheap flights, we can do it at home. So we can do it from the comfort of our own flats, because we can do it online. So there is this check-in that is open a couple of hours before the plane takes off. But with some other flights, right, these charter flights, you would have to carry out the procedure at the airport, right? So you go to the airport and you check in at the airport. You can also check in your luggage. That's another important thing, because if you have this luggage that is too big and you cannot take it with you on board of the plane, so it is not hand luggage, but this is this regular luggage, you also check in your luggage. So there are the two actions that you perform. So you check in as a person, and you also have to check your luggage in and leave all the details and the weight and everything about it before you board the plane. By the way, the word luggage, right, is important here, because there are two words that are used. So there is this luggage and baggage, and they mean the same, please remember, but baggage is American English. You just have to know the other variety of the language. Both are uncountable, so please remember. So the luggage is and baggage is. And it is very logical in my way of thinking. because basically we can say that there is a lot of luggage, there is not much luggage, but you cannot count luggage. What you can count is the bags. And that's why bags are countable. Yeah? So how many bags are you taking with you? Well, 10, 5, 6, right? But with luggage, you just say if there is a lot of it or there is not a lot of it. So that's why it is uncountable. Very often when we travel and when we travel by planes, we use, and that's the expression I have just used, we use this hand luggage, so we do not have to check anything in, and we just bought a plane, and very often we do not have to declare anything, right? Because we are not going to take anything into the country where we are traveling, or we do not want to bring anything from the country. But definitely we have to go through customs because we have to show our passport, or we have to show our ID. They have to check us. They have to see if what we want to bring onto the board of the plane, if that is legal, the procedures, right, about liquids, about the sharp objects, right? So you definitely have to go through customs, and you have to go through security checks, right? So I kind of use these both expressions and describe like the whole process, right? So when you check your and you show your ID, that will be going through customs. And when you are searched for any illegal objects, so to say, it means that you undergo these security checks. And when everything is perfect, right, when everything is fine, you look for your gate, yes, and you wait for your boarding to start. Why is it called boarding? Well, it is called boarding because you board a plane, as I said. And once we are just inside the plane, we know, I'm sure everyone knows the procedure, right? So there is the stewardess, and she shows us, or another flight attendant, please remember, so we can call the girl, well, usually there are girls, yes, so that's why they are called, that's why a girl like that is called a stewardess, but there can be also men, and I have to pay my respects to men here, and they can be called flight attendants. And actually, when you use the expression flight attendant, it means both a man and a woman, right? So to be politically correct, I would rather call this person a flight attendant and not a stewardess, right? So a flight attendant will show you around the plane, right? Will tell you what to do in case of emergency. And of course, will ask you to fasten your seatbelts. I use the expression fasten your seatbelts on purpose, once again, because many people pronounce it in the incorrect way. So the proper way to pronounce it, the proper way to say it is fasten, right? There is no T in the word. I mean, you write it, obviously, but you don't say it, right? So you fasten your seatbelts. And once the plane starts taxiing, I like the expression very much, yes, so the planes taxi before they actually take off. And when they take off and when they reach certain levels and when they are up in the sky and when everything is okay, you are allowed to relax and you can have your food, you can have your drinks. And when it comes to the drinks or to any other food that you want to eat or that you want to drink, you would ask this flight attendant, can I have? And here we have this very simple, very productive, very useful expression, can I have? It works perfectly in restaurants. It works perfectly on board of a plane. So can I have? And with can I have, you can refer to food that you want to eat and also to drinks that you want to have, because when you use the word have, it means that you will drink something or you will eat something. And when it comes to drinking here, there are two types of water that can be offered to you, and this is still or fizzy water. Very simple expressions. Again, I told you I'm this fan of simplicity, and I'm this fan of fine, proper, simple structures that work every time, that are very productive and that are very communicative. So still water, right, and fizzy water. There are two types of water that we can have, and there are no other expressions. I'm not going to use them here, but I have heard very strange expressions describing the two types of water. So please remember, now after listening to this episode, you will know that there are just two types of water. It is still water and fizzy water. Naturally, after covering the plane and after covering these expressions connected with drinking and connected with eating, I would like to move to a restaurant because it is going to be very similar. So if you want to order something, right, you will say, I will have, and as I told you, it implies both to eating and drinking. So that's very useful. I will have. But before you say it, before you tell the waiter what you want to eat or what you want to drink, you will ask them about the menu. And the proper question that you can ask here is, can I have the menu, please? Right, and I'm sure the waiter will be very happy to provide you with the menu, right? So I will repeat the question, can I have the menu, please? When you are ready with your meal, when you have eaten, when everything is all right, you ask for a check or the bill. So check, please. That's what you say in the shortened form. You can say, can I have the check, please? Check is American English. And in Britain, you would say, can I have the bill, please? Or just the bill, please. And that'll be it. Now we are moving to a hotel. We have covered a couple of accommodation types and we have covered types of rooms. But right now, I would like to tell you what you can say or what you can hear when you are at a hotel. And please remember that the first place that you see is called reception desk. It is not called reception, but it is called reception desk. So this is the place where you are received, because reception means that you are received, but you are received at a place. So you see the reception desk. And when you get there, right, when you arrive at a hotel, you say, I have a reservation in the name. And then you just give your name or any other name, right? But the phrase, again, you have to admit it, right? It's very simple, very easy to remember. I have a reservation in the name. And then you just present this name. They will, of course, ask you about this luggage and baggage thing. So we used it already when we were talking about the airport and what can happen at the airport. Once again, let me repeat it, that luggage would be British and baggage would be American English. Of course, you want to get the key to your apartment, to your room. You want to know on which floor the room is, and they will tell you, of course. So they will give you this room number and they will tell you the floor. And of course, if it is up high, right, if this is upstairs, you would need a lift. And a lift is something you would need in Britain, because this is the name for it in Britain, and in American that would be called an elevator. So don't be surprised. Please notice the difference, right? So the lifts are in Britain and elevators are in America. And before you go, yes, I'm sure you would like to know something about the meals. Of course, it all depends on the type of accommodation that you have chosen, whether you are served any meal or not. But very often what people do is that they choose these rooms with breakfast, right? So the question that you can ask here, something that you would like to know is... when do you serve breakfast? Yes, so what time do you start serving breakfast? And they can tell you that the meals, right, or the breakfast is served from 7 until 9, for instance. Yes, and any other meal that is there is also served. Right, so the breakfast is served, dinner is served, right, supper is served, depending on your option. Right now, we are moving to the pool, my favorite place. I'm sure it is one of your favorite places as well. Well, because when you are at this hotel, there is very often a pool. And this is the place, as I told you, where people feel very ashamed at, because they don't know what to do. They've been practicing English, they've been learning it for a couple of years, and still they don't know what to do. So please remember that when you want to get a place for yourself at a swimming pool, what you do is you rent a deck chair. A simple thing. Yes, so you can say, I would like to rent a deck chair. And I'm sure that some person who is working there, they will help you out here, right? So this thing on which you sit at the pool is called a deck chair, and you rent it just like you rent a car. Simply. Another thing that you would like to need, depending on your needs, actually, because you can have your own, but very often people don't do it. They just need towels, right? They need towels that are there, that are from a hotel. So what you say here is, can I have a towel, please? And they will be very happy to provide you with a towel. At a swimming pool, there can also be a bar. Yes, this beach bar. But at the beach bar, you behave exactly the same way as you behave at a restaurant, right? So you can ask them about the menu, but of course you will not get any food, possibly, but you will get the drinks, right? So you can ask about the drink list, rather, yes, and you will also say, can I have? And then you choose the thing that you want to possibly drink. I hope that what you have listened to just right now will be useful for you. You will have to admit that the expressions are very simple, very productive. It is not very difficult to learn them. So please listen to this episode a couple of times if you need it. And remember the expressions and go on holiday and have fun. Enjoy the time. I wonder where you are going on holiday. I wonder if you like going on holiday. Well, obviously going on holiday is fantastic, but many people get stressed when they go on holiday abroad because of English. So I wonder if this stress disappears a little bit when you know the phrases, some of them. And I wonder if you actually look for these chances, these opportunities to speak English, because believe me, once you are abroad, please don't be afraid and look for these opportunities and use your English. So the more you practice, the more you speak, the easier it'll get and the easier it'll be for you. And the phrases that you have just listened to, the phrases that I have just covered, they are very useful in any holiday situation. So please use them and you will see that communication will be smooth and you will have no trouble at all. I also wonder, what is your favorite type of holidays? Like, do you like lying on the beach and just relaxing, or lying by the pool with a drink? Or you are rather more active, right? So you would rather go to the mountains, or you are city people, so you would rather visit some big cities, capital cities in Europe, just to experience them and the crowds, but of course the crowds in the positive way, right? So these other tourists and cafes and different restaurants and different sites, museums. Yeah, so I wonder what you like. If you would like to share that kind of information with me, I will be very grateful. Please email me. Please tell me. You know the email, I believe it is s.kravchuk@speakeo.com. I will gladly listen to your ideas and I will gladly answer any of the emails. Please enjoy the holidays. Please feel safe. Please don't worry about English and just enjoy the time. Bye-bye.